It is Thursday, August 26, 2021, 11:30 a.m. I'm going to do a little recap on my day and finished plus 11. Quite a few trades again. Probably a few more tries than I should have had. Could have definitely stayed out of some of these definitely these losses here. In the pre-open at 6:30 we were kind of in balance, but I'm going to go back and I ended up being at the screen here at about 2:30 this morning, and this was my first try here, and that was right here at 2:30. And so we came down and put in these lows here. Slight increase in volume, had a nice little demand push here, pulled back to the demand. This had been tested here, put in this high tick, so I had that in front of me. But then at 2:30 we had a pretty good increase in volume and a demand push. My expectation was to take out this high tick and come up into this area here, into the 70 area. So I ended up only taking 5 off, had about positive 18 in equity, had a lot of volume coming in here at the top of this bar when this reversed. So would have liked to have managed it a little bit better, taken locked in at least 10, but for it to come back to this 60 area was definitely within expectation. So it was a little bit hard to manage that so tightly and not give it room to come up higher. And then 6:30 was my next try, and there was a news release, some kind of report here, and after we put in this, it was all pretty, the overnight trade was pretty balanced. You could see in the profile it was similar to this in this area. It was very balanced trade overnight. So my expectation, we were coming from some supply here to the left, so I could see how they thought that context might be short, but then we had this low tick and then this imbalance push up. So at this point my expectation is to get up at least into this untested area, into the 77, and that's what I was trying to get, just to the top side of the range, trading kind of like an outside in balance trade. And then my fill was here. I was trying to get in at about 54. My fill and my stop out happened all in this one bar, so it happened in just a second or two. So my fill and my stop out, and then I tried again here on this little low tick and trying to trade above the volume, and then I got taken out again on this push down. So that was a little bit frustrating to take minus basically 20 ticks in losses. And then next trade wasn't until after the open at 721, and that was actually a short trade here after we put in these highs, failed down after the open, unable to take out the top of range here, and then we pushed down imbalanced, and then after this I was taking the short off of this structure and expectation to take out this low as well as the overnight low here at the 33. And this was a little bit of a risky trade. We imbalanced down, and I took the trade here after we came up on this bar and imbalanced down. We held the structure here to the left, and also this was at the 50 round number. So then on this retrace up here on this bar here at 721 is when I got in. So great entry. I got in at 49 short, I believe, and then the top of the move was at 50. So I took really no heat whatsoever on this trade. We can see here my max drawdown was 1 tick, and I took a 27 tick win on that one. So that was on the break of 35, and so I watched that and pushed down here, and I took it off at 22 on this volume. We had some volume coming in here, pushed down below, and so it was a really good exit on that. And I just dragged it down on the dome and got lucky when it flushed. It flushed pretty hard and heavy. And then at that point we put in this, and I'm starting to see how we're going to react when we push back up. We definitely rejected on large volume this overnight low, came back up, and at this point I'm trying to find some kind of long setup out of this. And the entry right here at about 31, 32 after this imbalance push up at 741, and I did have an entry, but I did have an order, but no fill on that entry. So So I didn't get anything out of this, pretty much this whole push up, this whole rally here. I didn't get anything through here. So I missed this entry. And then we came up, put in this volume. At this point, definitely as this is coming up, I'm thinking that context is definitely long, trying to eventually find a trade through the overnight high. And then after we came back down here, my next trade was at 857, and that was on this low tick and push up. We're coming back to this previous demand area. 857, I took a full 10 tick loss, or a 9 tick loss, I think. Oops, let's see here. Yeah, 8 ticks. And then I had another one at 9 o'clock. I tried again and took a break even. And then one more try at 9:08. And that was after this low tick. 908 was here on this push up. So holding the structure, I was trying to see if we could lean on this demand push. Took out the supply, and again it didn't hold and took me out for a -8. So then one last try. I tried again at 9:14, and that was on this push on the retrace. After this push here and pull back to this area. So we broke above the 50 again, took out these highs. So yes, slight high tick here, but I'm not really worried about that because these are small interior highs that at this point, after breaking above, I'm expecting it to hold this structure. And I took this for a +16 up above these weak highs here on a flush here, and then I think so 66, 67 I think is where I took it off. So pretty good exit on that. I could definitely see this coming up and testing into the 75, but when it didn't really push it didn't flush above these highs here, this weak high, I didn't mess around with it, and I wanted to lock in something, so I took 16 off on that one. So at that point, I didn't really have any other opportunities here, but when we did make this kind of imbalance push, I would like to show this on Delta here as far as what happened here, and this is really something that I was paying attention to. So we can see this was just a beautiful trade, perfect setup, but we can see look what Delta is doing. So we had massive selling coming in here, little push up, selling here again, making new lows on Delta. So we're net short here, and then again net short here. Look at all these contracts, almost 1,000 contracts net short, and prices going up. So somebody is accumulating longs here by hitting the bid. So at that point, I'm thinking this is definitely poised to break out. And then once we got this, so I'm trying to find a long. This was the last chance I had here. After this was tested, I was trying to get a long. And I hesitated on taking an entry right here because I felt like I was still below this structure. But then once we imbalanced up here, I'm like, definitely, I tried to get an entry here back to this 80, and it never came back. And it just ripped. It ripped and it ripped. You can see at that point like how Delta unwound after that. It just ripped. And so that was a really nice trade. Around 80 to take out the overnight high, at least 09, and then it went all the way up to 30. And I did have one more try. We put in these highs here. Delta confirmed this trade as well. So after we pushed up here, Delta did not confirm new high here. And then we had this imbalance push down, being below structure. So this high, this last seller was flipped. So this demand was taken out. And then we had this imbalance push here. I tried an entry at 19, and I came within 2 ticks of my entry. And that would have been to take this all the way back down to, well, actually my target was 01, so, and that was easily hit, and then we came all the way to take out all of this demand. So that was that's it for me. So traded pretty well. 8 trades, only up 11, but I feel like I was really close to hitting some real big trades again. So fine line, but that's it for me today.